Start with the introduction, is that correct?
Okay, who I am. My name is Maggie Blendinovi. I am the CEO of YOU. Is that all you need, or do you need more?
I think that's it. I mean, that's all there is about
Right?
the position, right?
Yeah,
I think that you have something about like why you became CEO.
right. So,
That you wanted to say.
so what drew me to?
Yeah, what drew you to this position? What drew you to YOU?
Several things. First, I would say just the holistic approach of that YOU takes to supporting schools and youth development. After spending over a decade and a half working in Chicago Public Schools and with Chicago Public Schools, I really saw the need for a program with YOU. I saw so many schools that could benefit from the programming we provide. So that just the content and the core mission of the work we do really drew me initially. Also, the fact that the organization has been such a huge component and part of the fabric of the community for nearly 50 years, and the community support required to do that. And ultimately, the vision and mission of where this organization has been and where it's going, and the importance of out-of-school time supports. That's nearly 80% of a youth's time is spent out of school. So that programming is so critically important to youth development.
What about Evanston in particular do you think is really key to what YOU's mission is?
Well, several factors. First, just the diversity in Evanston, both the socioeconomic and the cultural and ethnic diversity of this community. It's really, in many ways, a snapshot of what America can and could be, and so that kind of vibrant diversity in Evanston, you actually don't experience that working in Chicago Public Schools because it's actually very segregated, and schools don't have that rich diversity within them. And so that I very much enjoy, and is something I think you're always looking for as an ideal environment in a school. What also makes Evanston unique is that you have all of this socioeconomic diversity, yet we have very well-resourced schools. So, and an incredibly engaged community that takes pride in those schools and wants to make sure that all kids and all youth have opportunity to be successful.
Absolutely. Do you remember when you first heard about YOU or how you first kind of came to learn about the organization?
Well, I think that, I don't know if we went, because a headhunter reached out to me, so I don't know if that's really what you want.
No, maybe not.
Probably not. When I saw that, I was like, well, this is cut, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he can cut and paste. Yes.
It'll be in the blooper reel.
You're right. Do you really want that question?
We'll do a full blooper reel.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about what YOU's mission is?
Sure. Our mission is to.
Pardon me, just when you're answering a question, try to kind of rephrase what the point of her question is.
Okay.
So say the mission of you is.
Got it.
Got it.
Got it. Sure.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure I get my. Okay. Yes. So the mission of YOU is to close the opportunity gap and to ensure all youth are achieve post-secondary and life success. I'd like to say that again.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
The mission of YOU is to close the opportunity gap and prepare all youth for post-secondary and life success.
Perfect.
There's kind of more I wanted to say on that, or no? Should I just leave it?
Say everything.
Okay.
And he is a master editor.
Oh, he is? Great. So, and so YOU is really about providing enriching opportunities and exposures to youth to really connect them to their passions and help expand their visions of themselves.
Great.
Would you, sorry.
Yeah.
Would you explain in your words what the opportunity gap is?
Sure. Well, there's an achievement gap, there's an opportunity gap. The achievement gap is really when you're seeing disparities in, I'm sorry, my natural tendency is, I'm so sorry. Yes, that's my fault. So in terms, the opportunity gap as we define it is the gap in spending between high income and low income youth, and that's roughly around $5,000 a year. And what that opportunity gap means is the limited or restricted exposures that youth might have an opportunity to engage in. And as I said, out of school time represents a lot of a youth's time when you think about summer and even after school. And we are really looking to ensure that all youth have an opportunity to engage in wonderful exposures and experiences and enrichment that connects, that allows them to tap into both their passions for today, allows them to connect more with school and see the point of school, and really give them opportunities to think about what they might want to do with their career. So we are all limited or expanded by the experiences around us when we think about what we decided to study in school and therefore become later in life. We want to make sure that kids see the whole spectrum, and that's really what much of our work is about.
That's great. In your own words, how does each component, would you say, the post-secondary life piece, I know that's something that has really been your focus as executive director. How do you think that YOU contributes to helping build that post-secondary life success through our programming?
Sure. So, really we have a three-pronged approach in terms of like our strategy. One is supporting academic enrichment. So that is, first of all, we're working with kids in out of school time, and it's third grade all the way through 12th. So connecting youth to exposures and opportunities throughout that whole continuum, and also in the summer to prevent summer learning loss. That's an important part of our academic enrichment, and we're continuing to build that out. Another piece is nurturing strong relationships, and we do that through our much of our clinical work, but also through our out-of-school time supports, which are very much embedded with the clinical work. And that's about building youth resilience and persistence. And then the third piece, and we all, and you know what, I need to say that one over again. Okay, I'm sorry I'm stumbling over that one.
You're not. You sound exactly like I'm getting flashbacks to like every other nonprofit video I've ever watched. Like you seem like somebody who is in one of these videos.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
Sounds like you're right on target.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
All right.
You sound exactly like I thought that you should.
Okay, thank
But
you.
I don't know anything, so.
Thank you. No, thanks. Okay, so we have a three-pronged approach to our strategy. And the first is supporting academic enrichment. And we do that through our out-of-school time support throughout the school year, which is supporting youth in third grade all the way through high school. And so that's a critical component of our work. But we also do work in the summer and summer programming, which is to prevent summer learning loss and also make summer and learning fun. A second part of our approach is nurturing and supporting social and emotional learning growth. We all know that it's not enough to know your subject matters, but that you also need to have resilience and be persistent to be successful in life, not just in school, but in life in general. So our programming very deliberately focuses on developing social and emotional learning, building strong relationships with the youth that we serve, and we do that through both our out-of-school time programming and the clinical work that's embedded within that. And then the third part of our programming is really working with families and partners and engaging them purposefully in the development of youth. And we do that through the many partnerships that we bring into schools to support career exploration and working very deliberately with families and to provide supports to the youth and families that need them the most.
Could you talk a little bit about the summer learning loss?
Sure. Summer learning loss is a real thing that happens. It is cumulative, and unfortunately, it disproportionately impacts low-income youth. And the cumulative impact of summer learning loss can be as many as 5 years behind your higher income peers by the time you reach high school. So having those opportunities over the summer to actually bring enrichment and academic enrichment in a fun, different way. It isn't school, but it is engaging and ensuring that youth are not falling behind over the summer and they come back ready and prepared when the school year begins in August.
That's great. If you had to articulate your vision for YOU in the next 5 years, could you talk a little bit about what that would look like?
Sure.
I'm interested to hear this.
Sure.
answer.
No. Yes. Yes.
So
And
I'm not faking my engagement.
and I have my little pieces. I just want to make sure I get them all
absolutely.
right. And digging deeper and placing. Yep. So in terms of vision for the future, one of the first pieces is to actually go deeper in engaging our partners in academic enrichment. I think we've done some really good work on that, and we can go even deeper. And we're starting that this year and being very deliberate in our partnerships with our school districts and making sure that we're supporting their goals and we're working together to bring exciting and wonderful opportunities to the youth we serve. This summer, we are piloting a new program at ETHS that will allow our middle school youth to have exposures to the phenomenal engineering and culinary programming at the high school, and also kind of demystify a little bit of that big, beautiful building for them, which they will be going to in the coming years. So I think continuing to go deeper with our partners, and particularly our school partners and districts, that will be very important. I also see us digging much deeper into data and understanding what the data is telling us in terms of our impact. And data helps you make decisions, and knowing where we're making a difference and where we need to dig deeper. I also see us being much more deliberate in exposing youth to career exploration and bringing in partners and corporate partners and expanding much of our programming. We do a lot of wonderful programming with partners in Skokie and in Evanston, and expanding that to the city as well, and bringing in as many partners from around the area to enrich the experiences for the youth we serve. And then finally, obviously, once we've really deepened our program, we've certainly expanded a lot over the last several years, and we want to continue to have greater impact and impact as many youth as possible, both here in Evanston and in Skokie.
A hair just flew onto your suit, so I'm just gonna grab that. Sorry.
I see it.
There you go. You got it.
A lovely laundry hair. Yes, thank you.
There's a couple things on the sheet that talk about the role of the race-based opportunity gap and the role of like race and racial equity in Evanston that I think you wanted to talk
Yeah,
about.
sure. And what did I
I know
write
that's
down?
definitely gonna be something you're gonna want to make sure you have your notes.
Yeah. So in terms of the role of race, and I would say any marginalized group. So I think we expand that much more broadly to mean groups of people who could be marginalized for whatever reason, whether it's your race, your sexual orientation, your gender identification, your gender itself, all of those reasons, your ethnicity, that unfortunately can often lead to different expectations in the classroom and outside the classroom. And we are very deliberate about making our environment an environment that is inclusive for all, that we are incredibly culturally competent, that all youth feel and all families feel very welcome in our environment, that we are meeting our youth where they're at, that we have high expectations for everybody, that I should say that again since I did that, that we have high expectations for all youth, that our programming is the same high quality expectations that you would provide for all kids, regardless of their income, regardless of where their zip code, or, well, the zip codes are similar here, but regardless of the street they live on. And I don't know if I'm stumbling on this a little.
That's good.
Yeah.
You can say anything over if you want to,
Okay.
regardless of the neighborhood they live in.
Yeah. Yeah. So we are being very deliberate to make sure that our programming is high quality for all youth, regardless of their income, regardless of the street they live on, regardless of the color of their skin, and that we are maintaining high expectations that all youth can be successful in life and in their careers.
When someone contributes to YOU either with time or money or the other one that we talk about on Giving Tuesday,
Time.
give your time. Oh, and goods. Don't like
Oh.
donations or in-kind donations. What do those acts of giveness do? See, I wouldn't be any better at your school. What do those donations do, and then what do they help enable, and why is that so important to the way that YOU functions?
Well, first of all, our programming is free to all the families that we serve. So, and that is something we really stick to. That means truly access for all, and it's a critical part of our programming. So we are dependent on fundraising for everything that we do. So contributions help support the quality of the programming, how much we're able to spend on programming and our partnerships that we bring in to our schools. We are also school-based, so we are out at sites. So we really are removing barriers, and anyone who's making a donation to our organization is helping to bring resources directly to families, directly to youth in their buildings, bringing the same high-quality programming that they would have their own kids participate in, but of free of charge to the youth that we serve. Is that enough? That wasn't a pre-question I had, so I hadn't prepared that. No, okay.
People are going to be like silent auctioning,
Oh.
After they watch this. So
Is that enough? Well, I'd also say, so any donations also really help us on that academic enhancement piece. That is something, the work we are going to be doing this summer really started by a grant that we received, and is allowing us to go deeper and do work that we've wanted to do, but haven't had the resources to do that. And so the resources really immediately impact the quality of the programming we are able to provide. Is that?
that's good. I mean, if you use that line about the grant, I'm probably going to whoop when she says it. It was so much work.
You did an awesome job. Yeah.
Other than that,
Well, it sparks it literally, I mean, when you receive a donation that really is targeting a very specific strategic priority, it really sparks a whole level of and raises the expectation of what we're doing. And when you asked me about, when we were talking about the vision for the future, it is always about constantly improving and enhancing the quality of our programming, that we're always taking it to another level, because you can never kind of be satisfied with that. I feel that much of what we're doing with the summer programming is all about taking it to another level, and I'm very excited about what we're able to do at ETHS this summer.
That's great. Is there anything else that was in your notes that you know that you want to make sure to get to?
Actually, you got to pretty much everything. Yeah, you did. You did.
What about YouTube? Is there anything that you think that would be good to add?
I'm wondering, just thinking about like the composition of the video once it's put together with your words and then B-roll footage, if it would make sense for you to specifically talk about donations will go to programs such as FQ, blah, 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 or
Yep.
programs such as
Sure.
something like that.
Sure. Okay, great. So, so donations will directly impact some of our most sought after programming that's very popular with the youth that we serve, but also becomes oversubscribed at times, such as F-Cubed, such as our culinary programming. That's an area where we really want to expand that. But that is, I don't know if I want to say, that's expensive, actually. But we have fabulous resources here in our makerspace, in the wonderful garden in our backyard, and in that great kitchen. And the more we can draw those resources together, we also have visions of giving access. We have a culinary programming that really runs from 3rd through 12th grade. And obviously you only get access to our kitchen when you're in high school, because that's the high school programming. So there are costs involved in bringing youth to our site, and we would really like to expand the opportunity to bring youth here, and for middle school youth in particular to get access to some of the great resources that are in this building. What other programming? I do love F-Cubed. F-Cubed is, in terms of, F-Cubed is one of our premier programs, and that really, it's one of those programs as well that runs from 3rd grade all the way through 12th. And it's a wonderful comic. Kids very much enjoy it throughout that time. It's also, there's so many components to it that intersect with our work about healthy bodies, healthy minds, and all of the, and obviously there's the career exploration piece of that. And there's also just your own health and wellness in the future, and currently and going forward. So there's so much to F-Cubed. We also have some tremendous partnerships with Northwestern that we would love to expand further. Block Museum is a great partner. I don't know if that's free though, right? Block is free.
Yeah.
What does F-Cubed stand for?
Farming, food, future. Farming, food, future. I don't know if you need me to say that.
Do you want to say like F cubed
F
or
cubed.
farming? Yeah.
F cubed or farming food. Say that fast.
Seashells.
Exactly. F cubed or farming food future.
Just thinking about what you had talked about and the Williams sisters, I feel like we don't have much about clinical.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what is so unique about our kind of integrated clinical strategy and why it's so important to have support for that?
Sure. That's so in terms of, generally speaking, you really, there are several pieces of our programming that I think are unique. First, the fact that we go from 3rd through 12th, very few after school programs offer that breadth of, the breadth and the depth of support. And that allows for this continuation of relationships, which also feeds into some of our clinical supports. And the fact we have clinical supports embedded in our programming, I don't think you see anywhere in after-school programming. And it's a tremendous resource to our sites to have trained clinicians who help destigmatize any challenges that youth might have and help bring and integrate into the larger community. So, we are really committed to serving all youth, and some youth will have needs that really clinicians help support and help us meet those needs. And we work very closely with schools to identify youth who would really benefit from our program. And having clinicians, trained clinicians on site, allow us to do that in a way that serves all youth well. Our programming I can't say enough, is very much deliberately about serving all the youth in the schools that we are at, and we want to make sure that we can accommodate and meet their needs. I don't know if that's enough.
That's great. Okay. I've just written so many grants about clinical lately that I think it's on my mind.
It is, and it's always a complicated piece, actually, because unfortunately, and here, if you want to say what your money could do, we don't have clinicians every day at every site, and I would if we could afford it.
Yeah.
And but it's and there's also like this challenge, and this isn't really part of the video, but we got to be very careful about making sure that our programming, we don't want kids to be labeled or stigmatized.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It was talking about marginalized populations, and we don't want our kids to ever feel marginalized, and that all youth, they have this self-confidence. When we're talking about social and emotional learning, they should be confident in themselves and in their ability to be successful, and that persistence and that resilience, and that is so much part of your own self-esteem and grit and determination. And that's really much of our work is working with youth to have that grit and determination, so that when they reach an obstacle, they can persevere and go through it and be successful and get through college or get through job training and become, I mean college, I shouldn't say job training. Anyway, yeah.
I know what you mean.
You do. Sorry. Now I'm rambling, which is usual for me. See,
Yeah,
it's not in my
great.
notes, so it's rambling.
Anything else?
Is there anything I need to do over?
Not necessarily. The one thing that I guess I'm not knowledgeable enough, but you were talking about when you get funding or donations, kind of knowing where you're going to put those allows that money to go to work more powerfully.
Well-
Something like
about
that.
grants specifically, like when you put all the work into writing a grant and then you receive that money, then you know exactly where it's going to, perhaps. Is what
Well,
you're talking about?
I mean, you were getting at why, what your dollars can mean,
Right.
right? I want to stay away from people giving money for specific things, because then it really handcuffs
We don't
up.
wanna do that.
Yeah.
Most
No,
of
I
the
guess I
time.
just like the idea that you were telling people,
Like what your money can do.
yeah, how powerful that is, and that, you've now built a system where you're utilizing their money better than ever before, because you get to decide it's going to very effective places.
Yeah.
Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Uh-huh.
Just something to that degree that, just to give everybody an assurance, you're
That
in
you're-
control of this process, it's going to the right place. If you don't get the money, we're in some trouble, because these programs depend
Right,
on this
right.
money.
Right. That, money that you contribute really directly supports programming immediately. And it has, very much, let me see, because we actually have stats that we spend about $5,000 per youth, but I would want those exact numbers before I say it. Because it literally it literally does close the gap. So maybe that's part of like that your donations literally close that opportunity gap in terms of the spend that we are able to provide for our youth and that for the youth that we serve, and that your donations enhance our programming, provide the kind of quality programming that you would want available for your own children, and that is really the critical importance. We are as I said earlier, we are constantly looking to enhance our programming and make sure it's of the highest standard, the highest quality, and that we are giving youth every opportunity to explore their passions and determine where their path will lead them.
Yeah.
Kind of.
That was fantastic. If you could do that one more time and let's reverse it and say it's this process that's getting us to this point, and it's these donations that are going to help us close this gap.
Okay, so it's our process in terms of our programming.
Mm-hmm.
So our programming is really all about always enhancing the quality that we are providing to the youth that we serve, and that we are giving them extraordinary opportunities to connect to their passions and determine their path. And it's your donations that will make that possible. Is
Feels
that
like I'm
kind
watching
of?
the 700
Yeah,
Club
that's
America
excellent.
commercial.
Oh no, I don't want to be like Jim Baker and Tammy Faye, right?
Well, if I don't use it, that's excellent. But it's just good for me to have it.
Yeah.
Just to have those sound bites that I know are
Right.
basically the sentiment of what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Are there other?
But honestly, I think you had so many other good points throughout the video that we probably won't even lean on that.
Okay. Are there other things you want me to?
It seems like, you got everything on our list perfectly. Like, you answered a lot of them without me even having to ask. So,
But are there periods where I could do it better, or? I mean, I don't care. I really don't care if I have to.
That's good. I know one thing we'll probably use is you talking about, why you came to you,
Uh-huh.
or why are you, and why, or what the vision is for the future. So kind of bridging the gap between, why you came here and what you hope to do here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just one more strong soundbite about that.
Sure. Okay. So why I came here? Let me just look over my notes. And make
Yeah,
sure
so kind of that full circle, why you came and what your
vision is, right? So much of what drew me to YOU, the first would have to be the holistic approach that the organization takes, and the resources provided to schools and to the youth and families that we're serving. Having worked over a decade and a half in Chicago Public Schools and working with schools much even higher need there, I recognized immediately when I was learning about YOU that those were resources that schools could desperately need. So I thought it was just this tremendous, just a tremendous asset to families, to youth, and to schools. Also, the fact that YOU has been in Evanston for nearly 50 years, and the tremendous support of the community and of all the partners here showed what an incredibly important organization YOU is, and what a incredibly engaged civic environment we have here in Evanston. And ultimately, the mission of YOU and serving youth from 3rd grade through 12th, and ensuring that youth are expanding their visions of themselves, and the importance of out-of-school time, the fact that 80% of a youth's time is spent out of school. So how we use that time and how we support it is critically important. And then just finally, that we're bringing those resources to the youth who need them the most. And then when we think about, my vision for our future here at YOU, one of the first things we'd like to do is continue to enhance our academic support and go much deeper with our partnerships, particularly with our school districts, to ensure that we are bringing resources and tremendous resources to the youth who need them most. And for example, we are already starting down that path, having very strong and tight partnerships with school district here. And for example, we are doing that this year, both in working with District 202 and with 219, to ensure that our middle school youth are getting exposures to the high school. And here at ETHS, middle school youth will have 2 weeks at the high school getting great exposures to the engineering program and to the culinary program. So continuing to build on those kind of partnerships and bringing in academic enhancements is part of a vision for the future. The second part, and I gotta start that again. See, this is the part I feel like I should have it better. Yeah, okay. So, do I have to say that all over, or?
No, in fact, that's a great place to cut. So yeah, I can use this, and then whatever the next part is, I can put them together. So yeah, just take a breath, big smile.
Thank you.
Look at Olivia, and whenever you're ready.
All right. And another part is really, okay, when I'm ready.
Yeah.
We also want to dig much deeper on our data. And data is important for helping us understand where we're having an impact with our program and also where we have some gaps. And it's an expanding area looking at social emotional learning indicators, and we are starting that right now and being one of the early adopters of some of those assessments, and also looking at school metrics and working with the district to ensure that we are connecting youth to school and enhancing their interest and supporting them to be successful in school. And then thirdly, take a break. Okay. I know. We also want to place much greater emphasis on and being much more deliberate about connecting youth to their passions and to career exploration. So partnering with corporations, actually here in Evanston and also and in Skokie, but also further north with corporations and south in Chicago to bring to expose youth to what those career opportunities can be. And finally, also continuing to expand the number of youth that we're serving. It's critically important that we bring our programming to all the youth that need it, and we will continue to look for those opportunities to expand our program. Is that okay? I feel like it's
great.
okay.
Hey, the only other thing I can think of is some kind of specific statistics. I'm not sure we ever got to the point where, I don't know if you have anything off the top of your head. Like, do you spout specific stats a lot?
That's the biggest one and I didn't bring them with me. The whole $5,000 spending gap, and that one I know off the top of my head. You can be as many as 5 years behind. That's partially why I sent some of that stuff to you guys from the consortium. We need to continue to build. The reason we're going deep on data, we don't have a lot of it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
So when you talk like social emotional learning, like everyone intuitively gets it, but people aren't measuring it, and so they're trying to figure out how to do that.
Yeah, even when I was explaining to her brother-in-law about that achievement gap, he said, well, where are they getting the stats from? And I said, I don't know, those are just the stats they told me, but I don't know how they figured
So,
it out.
and the achievement gap is different from the opportunity gap.
Right.
Yeah, and the achievement gap varies from place to place, but yet you see it in places. I mean, that's where Evanston's unique and interesting. It's like Oak Park, where my family's from, where you've got this great diversity, and yet you see this huge achievement gap. I mean, they've done a lot of research here in Evanston that does follow racial lines, and regardless of income, which is actually where it gets to be, it's really problematic. And it all comes down to expectations. And when I talk about like marginalized groups, it's truly seeing kids as kids and this is really very much core to the fabric of who we are and our value system, that we have this unyielding belief in kids and that kids can achieve at high levels. That's critically important to ensuring that they can. You must start with those expectations, and that starts with how we interact with youth, and it continues with the programming we provide youth and our expectations for their future. And you need as many adults around you who have those high expectations, and we want to be one of those adults, or part of those adults, a collection of those adults for youth, which is why also, as I said, in addition to having high expectations, also building strong relationships are important, and that's a critical part of YOU has been from the beginning, that we build trusting relationships with the youth that we support, and we are another adult resource for them when they're thinking about their careers, when they're thinking about what they're interested in, when they need support in an social emotional way, or when they need support in an academic way. So we are many things to the youth that we support. and we believe in them and in what they can achieve. That's off the cuff. I don't know if that's good or not, but
Yes.
Those are usually the best. I need to get a couple more